Hi, my name is Tiara, and My Story Animated will give $1,000 to one lucky person who subscribes in the next 7 days. Tell your friends, your sister, brother, and mom to subscribe now. The first time Mom realized that I was really shy was when I was 4 years old and she took me to the amusement park. I was terrified. I just kept my eyes on my shoes and clung onto my mom's hand tight the whole time. You see, I just wasn't used to a lot of people, so I'd completely freak out around strangers. Once, when I was 5, I was busy taking down a cereal box from the shelf of a grocery store, and when I turned around, Mom was gone. I felt panic rise in my chest, and I started running down the aisle. Just then, a strange woman caught my hand. "Hey, pretty girl, are you lost? What's your name?" I stared at her in horror, completely speechless. Just then, I saw Mom running towards me, and I went flying into her arms. The woman turned to Mom. "Oh, I'm so sorry. It must be really hard having a mute child. Does she go to a special school?" Mom snapped at her to mind her own business, and we walked off quickly. But the next evening, when I went down for dinner, I saw a grumpy-looking man at the table, and I froze. "Hey, sweetie, it's okay. I want you to get comfortable around new people. So I thought I'd introduce you to my very special friend." I was 5, not stupid. I knew he was her boyfriend. Did she seriously think bringing a boyfriend would help me with my shyness? Grumpy kept coming over every day, and I didn't get comfortable around him because he was a pain in the butt. Luckily, I caught him stealing money from Mom's bag one day, and she went ballistic and threw him out. I started school later that year, and Mom thought that would help me overcome my shyness, but it didn't. I was terrified on the first day, so the teacher allowed Mom to sit in class, and I felt much better. But when I was walking into class without her the next day, I immediately got hit by a paper ball in the face. It was Bridget, the meanest girl in class. "Yo, Mama's girl, who's gonna change your diaper now?" The title Mama's Girl stuck for a while, but after some bullying, Bridget and her minions got bored and I became invisible. Even though I had no friends, I didn't hate school because I really loved to learn. So I started spending all my free time in the library. One day, when I was in the 2nd grade, I found a boy my age in my usual spot. I wanted to talk to him, but I felt shy, so I just sat down at the same table and gave him a smile. He smiled back, scribbled something on a notebook, and pushed it towards me. "Hi, I'm Ethan. It's nice to meet you." Was he shy like me and couldn't talk to strangers? I thought this note system was way cooler anyway. We exchanged notes all during recess, and it was the best time I'd ever had at school. One day, I followed the boy to his class, and all the kids welcomed me with waves and smiles. Wow, who were these angels? Just then the teacher came in and she started using her hands to make all sorts of signs. It looked so funny I started laughing. That's when she noticed me. "Sweetie, can you hear what I'm saying?" I nodded my head. "Then you're not supposed to be here." And that's when I realized that Ethan and all the other kids here were deaf, and this was a special class. It was really sad to go, but Ethan slipped me a note. "See you at the library tomorrow?" And I did. Every single day after that. We only ever hung out together in the library, though. I felt protective of Ethan and wanted to keep him out of Bridget's face. And finally, I had a best friend, but I never invited him home because Mom could be super embarrassing. Over the next few years, she had a string of stupid boyfriends at our place. She was also just always doing odd jobs, and we never seemed to have enough money. One day in 9th grade, I went to get lunch at the cafeteria and almost jumped back in shock to see Mom behind the counter. "Mom, what are you doing here?" "Sweetie, I work here now. Can you chit-chat with your lunch lady friend later, Tiara? I don't have all day." I turned around to see Bridget behind me, and as I started walking away, I suddenly heard her scream. "OMG, you stupid woman! You poured hot soup all over my new iPhone!" I turned around to see Mom looking red in the face and apologizing to that brat. "I'm so sorry. It's only my first day here." "Do you need a degree to be a lunch lady? Because you must have failed lunch lady school for sure. Show me your degree." I'd just had enough. "Didn't your nannies teach you any manners? She's working hard to serve lunch to hundreds of kids, and she made a mistake. Have some respect." Oh my, look who finally found a voice. "Who are you, Martin Luther King now? And why do you care about the dumb lunch lady? Is she your mom?" Yeah, actually, she is. As everyone suddenly stared at me in silence, Bridget burst out laughing. "So, you're still a mama's girl? And now I get why you're so stupid." I was about to attack her, but just then I saw Ethan walking towards us with the principal.
Bridget, how dare you talk to a staff member like that? That's a 3-day suspension. To my office, now.
As Bridget walked away looking furious, I knew I'd pay for it later, but standing up to her felt so good. Later that day, when we were hanging out, Ethan said,
"You were awesome for standing up to that bully, and your mom seems nice."
"And you were awesome for calling the principal just in time. And well, Mom's a bit crazy. What's yours like?" And then Ethan told me that his mom had died when he was little, and his dad was a big businessman who was mostly away. He'd provided plenty of servants to take care of Ethan, but he never had much time for him.
Sometimes, I think he must be disappointed to have someone like me as a son.
That just broke my heart. I'd been waiting to surprise Ethan with the secret sign language lessons I'd been taking, but I couldn't wait any longer. "I'm sure that's not true, Ethan, because you're the loveliest person I've ever met." He stared at me in complete surprise, and suddenly his face broke into a huge smile. Then he pulled me close and kissed me. We started going out, and after a few months, I finally decided to introduce him to Mom. The dinner went well, but when Ethan took the dishes to the kitchen, Mom turned to me.
"What are you doing with that boy, Tiara?"
"What do you mean, Mom?"
"I mean, look at you. You're smart and beautiful. You could have any guy you want. Why would you choose someone who's deaf?"
Her words made my blood boil. "Mom, would you like it if I was deaf and no one wanted to date me?"
"But you're not deaf. He is. He's not good enough for my perfect girl."
"Stop saying such awful things, Mom."
"It's not like he can hear me, honey."
Just then, to my horror, I turned to see Ethan standing in the doorway. He just looked at me once and left. I turned to Mom, furious. "He can read lips, Mom. That was cruel, and I couldn't care less about Ethan's hearing. It doesn't make him less kind or caring or smart. He's perfect, unlike the jerks you date." And with that, I stormed off to my room. Ethan wouldn't reply to any of my texts, and the next day at school, I looked for him everywhere. Eventually, I found him sitting alone on the bleachers outside. "Ethan, I'm so sorry about what Mom said." He shook my hand off angrily.
"She's right, Tiara. You're perfect and I'm not. I'm sure you've thought about that too. Why else would you always keep our friendship a secret?"
And with that, he walked off. But I wasn't going to let him go so easily. I ran to the art room and wrote something on a chart paper, and at recess, I went to the cafeteria and jumped onto the table. I felt really nervous as everyone's eyes turned to me, but I only had eyes for Ethan as I held up the chart. "Ethan, I love you more than chocolate cake. Will you do me the honor of being my prom date?" Ethan burst out laughing and ran to hug me. As we kissed, the whole cafeteria erupted into cheers and applause. The next day, when Ethan and I were leaving school, we suddenly got hit by paper balls. "Remember how you were such a little scaredy cat that you couldn't even speak, Tiara? And now you have a boyfriend just like yourself. He's only with you because there's something wrong with him, obviously." I was about to lash out at her when suddenly, a limousine stopped next to us and a well-dressed man came out. I was surprised when Ethan hugged him and told me he was his dad. Ethan's dad turned to me.
"I haven't been around much, but Ethan told me all about you and how you've changed his life, and I just wanted to show you how grateful I am. Hey, you, give her the present."
Just then, his bodyguard leapt forward and handed me a small box. When I opened it, I gasped. It was a diamond tennis bracelet. I can't accept this, sir." But Ethan's dad wouldn't hear a word and just left. As Ethan clipped the bracelet onto my wrist, I could see Bridget's open-mouthed face turning all shades of green, and that was truly priceless. After that day, Bridget was always trying to get close to Ethan. I'd often catch her trying to talk to him at recess or in the library, where she'd probably never set foot in her life before. On prom day, I was getting asked to dance by lots of guys, and Ethan smiled at me to go ahead. When I stopped to catch my breath and looked around for him, I spotted Bridget cozying up to Ethan. "I think you and I would make a really cute couple." "Oh, wait, you can't hear me? Let me show you how I feel about you." And with that, she grabbed his face and kissed him. Before I could pull her hair, Ethan had already pushed her aside and he looked really angry. And then Bridget went totally mental on him. "Seriously? You're rejecting me? You think I'd actually ever be interested in someone stupid and deaf like you? And I'd have to learn dumb signs to explain everything to you? I'd rather shoot myself in the head." By now, I'd walked over to her and given her a tight slap across the face, and everyone started booing her, so she left the prom. But someone did something even better. A girl had made a video of the entire scene and uploaded it online, and thousands of people were now calling out Bridget for bullying someone differently abled. And the best part? She was expelled from school, and a year after graduation, Ethan published a groundbreaking paper that got published in a very prestigious science journal. When it came out, he left a copy for me at the breakfast table. As my eyes fell on the first page, I started to cry, dedicated to my best friend and the love of my life, Tiara, the girl who saw me when I was invisible. And that night when he came home, I had a little scrapbook I'd made waiting for him at the table. When he saw it, his eyes started to well up. Inside the scrapbook was every note we'd ever written to each other. Ever since that first day in the library, I'd saved them all. He turned to me and I went down on one knee. I knew you were someone special from the very first moment I saw you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Ethan. Will you marry me? He said yes and made me feel like the luckiest girl in the world. Months later, I invited Mom to the wedding and she did come. And she actually apologized to both me and Ethan. I thought life might be hard for you with a differently abled person, but I was wrong. I'm so happy to see how happy he makes you. And when we signed our vows, Mom almost ruined our perfect moment by crying the loudest. We have 2 lovely kids now who are perfectly fluent in sign language, of course. I hope having Ethan for a dad makes them even more compassionate towards anyone who is differently abled.